there, this is Carrie Clark with SpeechAndLanguageKids.com and the Speech Therapy Solution. Today I'm answering a question about how to teach prefixes. So I'm going to talk about how you would teach prefixes for a child who needs to use prefixes, so if they need to either speak them or write them, as well as for children who need to learn how to decode prefixes, which would be reading or listening. Now you may have some kids that are going to need to work on both of these, and I'm not sure that there's one way that would be better to do, if you did one first or then the other, or if you did them at the same time. I would just say kind of judge it based on how much you think that that child can handle. If you think that they would be able to handle production and decoding at the same time, then go for it. But if not, then just stick with one or the other. Okay, so let's start with the child who needs to produce prefixes. So this would be spoken or written. So the first thing you're going to do is collect a writing sample or a spoken language sample and check off which of the common prefixes that the child is using spontaneously and correctly, so that you therefore have a list of ones that the child is not using. So here is one list from, Scholastic. It's just a worksheet that they've put together, and it just has the most common prefixes, and it talks about what they mean and gives an example of a word. So this is a really simple list if you need this, and they also have suffixes on this one. So that is going to be, if you follow this link here it is. If you follow this link, just scroll down below the video and you can see that link. Click on that and that will take you over to the Scholastic worksheet that you can download. Okay, so once you do that and you have your list, then you're going to choose one prefix to target from the list of common prefixes that child isn't using. So just pick one at a time. You're not teaching the whole thing. Just pick one prefix, and you're going to teach the meaning of that prefix and give them several examples of that word, of words that use that prefix. So here's our sheet from Scholastic again. So for example, anti means against. So you would teach them, okay, when you need to say that something is against something, it would be anti. And then you would give them some examples like antifreeze. So that would be how you would do that, is you would just kind of give them examples and talk about what that prefix means. So then you're going to have the students create sentences with various words that contain that target prefix. So you're going to show them a word, they're going to make a sentence with it. You're not asking them to come up with the words off the top of their head. You just want to make sure that they know how to use that prefix and that word with the prefix. Otherwise, you're going to end up with them putting the prefix on words that don't really contain that prefix. So make sure that you're actually giving them the word list and then having them create the sentences. And then after that, you're going to do... Once you've done that for a little while, then you're going to give them those words and have them define them. So define antifreeze. So that would be something that makes it so that it can't freeze. So you have to make sure that they understand and can define those words. And then you're going to give them a list of words with that prefix and have the child write or speak a paragraph that includes all of them. So this is just kind of a sum it up, make sure that they really understand how to use those words, and then you can move on to a new prefix. And you're going to do those same steps, just teach it through with just one prefix at a time. Okay, so if you have a kiddo who needs to work on decoding prefixes or reading or listening to prefixes, here's what you're going to do for that. So you're going to ask the child to read and define a list of words that contain common prefixes. So you could use this one again. Just give them all of these words and say, okay, can you tell me what all of these mean? And just see which ones they can tell you. Let me scroll this back over. Okay, and then from there, you're going to have a list of the ones that the child doesn't understand. So you're going to target one prefix from that list at a time, not a whole bunch, just one. And you're going to teach the child what that prefix means and how to break a word apart into the prefix and the root word. So you're going to be dissecting words at this point. So you're going to help that child, you're going to give them a list of words and you're going to help the child break them apart. So for example, for antifreeze, you would show them how to take anti and freeze and separate those and say, okay, well, what does freeze mean? And what do we know anti means? So we can put those together to figure out what this word must mean. And then you can also talk about using context for that as well, because they're not always going to be able to figure it out from dissecting the word. But that is how you should help them practice, is practice dissecting those words and figuring out the meaning based on the meaning of the two parts of the word. So once the child gets the hang of that, Then you're going to have the child read sentences that contain the prefix, a word with a prefix. And then you're going to have them answer questions about the sentences that are going to let you know if the child understands the meaning of that prefix, okay? So if the sentence is, Holly untied her shoes, then your question should be something like, what did Holly's shoelaces look like at the end of or when she finished? So they should know that they are not tied, okay? If the child uses the word again, so if you say, what did Holly do? And she says, untied her shoes, you need her to define that in more description so that you know that she knows what untied means. She can't just use the word again. Okay, so once you have done that to the point where that child understands how to use that prefix, then you can slowly go back and add in more prefixes and just make sure that you're mixing in the ones that you've already done so that the child doesn't forget those while you're learning some new ones. Okay, so that's what I have for teaching prefixes. If you have any further questions or comments, you can leave those in the comments section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.